Get us started. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Money Talks group. I appreciate everyone for kind of being in the group, participating, inviting your friends and family. As you can see, I definitely have the first couple of this Money Talk segment. Evan and Lisa, they've been gracious to share their particular journey with debt and how they manage their finances as a couple. Just want to say thank you for all nearly 1,200 people that you're in here. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page at Money Talks. I usually post these links and videos back on that page. And again, keep the conversation going. So without further ado, I'm going to definitely jump right in with Lisa and Evan. Tell us how much debt you paid off so far, how long it took you, and how'd you get started on this journey?
Thanks, appreciate it. So we've been together for about 7 years or so, and I would say we haven't been in like an amazing financial position for like the last 3 years. And so we paid off about $30,000 in debt, saved up about 20 grand, and paid for in cash our wedding, basically, all within the last 3 years. And so after being together for 7 years, it's really been in the last 3 years that I would say we were really like financial stable and in a position where, you know, we feel like we can kind of truly take advantage and kind of do the things that we've always wanted to do.
So was it the marriage?
I would say no. I mean, we were always, luckily for us, we were always pretty open in conversation in regards to finance, since we were together prior to marriage. Like, so when we were just like dating and living together, kind of had that conversation in regards to understanding where we were both financially. So.
Yeah, but it's interesting though, because we probably lived together for like out of our 7 years, probably like 6.5 years maybe we've lived together, and so we've kind of been able to take advantage of that that dual income. But in the beginning of our relationship, it was kind of like everything 50-50. I know lots of couples do that. It's like everything just split it right down the middle. It don't matter who make what, honestly. Like, you know, I think I was making a little bit more money at the time, but it was still like split 50-50. And it was just recently, within the past couple of years, that Evan actually, and maybe he can tell you how he kind of came up with this concept, but he kind of came up with this idea, and he was like, well, let's not do 50-50 anymore. And me kind of being the stubborn, independent person that I've always been, I kind of like pushed back, like, I don't know, I like that. I like having my own stuff because we have separate accounts and everything like that. But, he kind of pushed me outside of my comfort zone a little bit to think differently financially, and kind of came up with this concept that he wanted us to try.
So yeah, Evan, I know one of the things that I spoke to Lisa earlier was a lot of the success that you guys had, she attributed to your plan. So I was definitely very interested in what was this plan? We had people, you have to have a plan, but yours was definitely the way she described it or the language she used. It wasn't just like, you know what I mean, something you've seen somewhere. So that you see regularly. So what was your plan?
Well, I mean, first off, I'm not going to take any of the credit. It was literally just like I have, friends. We're always talking about just investment strategies and money strategy and things of that nature. And, we have a mutual friend that was outside. We were just talking one day, kind of, future plans. You look to get married in the future. I'm married now. How you making it work finances wise? And the conversation kind of came about of, you got two incomes coming in. So, essentially one income handles obligations, the other income handles, other things. So savings and investments and things of that nature. So not to say Lisa being stubborn, that's her words, not mine. Showing her like from a numerical standpoint, just the fact, the benefit of it. So like the fact that, I had a salary that could cover all of the actual bills, or her salary could cover all of the bills. So showed her, how within, I asked her a question. I was like, so you want to go where in, the next few months? You want to go to Hawaii, or you want to go out of the country? How much do you think that would cost? Okay, well, if I were to sit here and show you how I pay all the bills, and then all you have to do is put X amount of dollars aside for 2 or 3 paychecks, then we could pay for that whole trip for both of us without having to use a credit card, and there still be money left over. So found a way to find that motivation for her to get her on board. But essentially, the whole strategy is just you have 2 incomes. Figure out how much you're bringing in together as a household and how much is being spent on bills and expenses and debt, right? So look at it holistically. So not just my income, my bills, and her income and her bills, but just like attack it all together. So by doing that, we were able to, come up, like I said, do this thing where we would pay the bills, where I would pay the bills and she would be responsible for setting aside money that would go for investments and trips. And then we took it a step further, where we, figured out, my debt, her debt, the interest rates and what the minimum payments were, and then which debts we could take out, quicker, and we just kind of worked down the line. So because we had that extra cash coming in of 2 incomes again, we could, still focus on doing the minimum payments, but then also on a combined basis, attack each specific debt by being able to throw more money at it. So that led to us paying off our debts a lot faster together than we would have doing that separately. So, so that all, factored into that. So, like Lisa said prior about knocking out debt, we were able to knock out debt. And then on top of that, we both were able to get different positions within our jobs. We both were also able to get very nice increases in salaries. So that only just helped the plan go farther. And keeping those same habits, we were able to, knock out debt fast, build up our net cash after all expenses were handled. So we were able to build up that substantial saving, be able to, pay down and pay off 2 cars. And then it also kind of it's opened the door for us to have other strategies. So right now we're working on we're in a property now. We're gonna rehab and put a tenant in. It's a duplex that we own, and looking to buy more property. But we're in a position to do that just because we've been able to knock out the debt, accumulate the savings, and realistically, she still has her own savings. I still have my own savings. So we have a joint savings, and then whatever we do on our own. And then, when it comes to going out and stuff of that nature, a blessing and a curse with this pandemic, we were also able to save a lot of cash, as I hope a lot of people have been able to, not going out. But
yeah, so we have a travel account because we like to travel, like I'm sure most people like. So that was actually one of the first things that we did, because we found we love to travel, and we were like, oh, how are we going to pay for all these trips? And so one of the first things we did was we created a travel account, and every time I got paid, I would put some money in there to basically fund all of our trips. But then with some of the other debt, so we had a lot of credit card debt kind of going into this. And so we started paying off all our credit card debt. And so now we don't have any credit card debt at all, which is great. And then Evan mentioned that we paid off the cars. That was kind of the next thing after we knocked out the credit card debt. We paid off the cars. And then I paid off my undergrad student loans. Now I'm far from done there, because I have $100,000 in grad student loans. And so that's the next thing. But Evan's undergrad loans are kind of the next things that's on our list. And so he's down to probably 9 or 10 grand in undergrad student loans. And so we're going to knock that out next. And then we'll work on my grad student loans. That's a big thing. But, we have no credit card debt right now. We have no car note. And so that's been great. And, we've been able to start saving. We bought a rental property, and we're able to really kind of take advantage, because we are what you would call an owner occupant. And so we live in our property, and our tenant basically pays our mortgage. And so that's kind of a great way to be able to save money, is that our tenant basically pays for most of our mortgage. And so, we practically almost kind of live rent free. So that's kind of great.
Yeah, you guys unpack so much so fast, and you've only been doing this for 3 years, nailed in. So how long realistically? Well, I guess let me step back for a second. Number one, you didn't fall into the 2 income trap, which is hard. I mean, it's hard to set your lifestyle you're just single, man, woman, whatever. It's hard to just, hey, I only live off 13 or 15 or 20 grand a year and everything else is extra. But when you come as a couple, and me too, being married, you're like, okay, I want to travel. My family's not here. You know what I mean? Her family's kind of near, but I mean, we're going to see these people. Like, how do you kind of accomplish it all and still make financial progress? So that 2-income trap, yeah, if you really separate it out and have one big plan, maybe on paper away from the accounts, that you understand, okay, this is how everything's working, but this bill account, that's where all the bills come out of. That's what we do. It really helps you get clarity on the money you have. So I really like how you guys really attack that piece first. And then how much easier, or what type of, I guess, what would you say was the benefit of once you got rid of the credit cards and the card note? Because student loans, everybody does have that. And if you have anything over 75,000, it's going to take you a little bit longer to run at. Just statistically speaking, if it was like 35, it's not really that big of a deal. But if you can get rid of the credit cards and the car loan, which most everybody has, average person has $500 something car note, paying about 20% of their debt in payments in debt. So what did that kind of do for your guys' finances? Just getting those two pieces out the way first.
It helped to free up more money, actually. And so as both cars were paid off, and as I kind of paid off like my undergrad student loans, I was able to take more of that money and put towards paying off other debt and actually saving. So I think freeing up those things, those burdens on us, help to open up new opportunities and, help us pay down even more debt. So instead of like most people, they pay something off and they create new debt as soon as they go and pay it off. We've been trying to, once we pay it off, take those funds that would have been going towards that bill and applying it towards other debt, basically.
Yeah.
And
So
I was going to say also, like, for me, like, I'm a visual person. So something, that it did for me, a motivation was just the fact that a lot of people, they know they have bills, they know they have debt. Mm-hmm. But what really drove it home for me was I took the income that I had when I was looking at it before we combined it. And it was, okay, this is how much money that comes into my paycheck. From a paycheck. This is how much goes towards bills. This is how much goes towards debt that I had. So when I kind of just did like a calculation, it was like, and I realized like, I think it was like 57 or 60% of my income was going towards debt. And I was that's insane, right? Yeah. So to Lisa's point in regards to that freedom that it has, that burden is lifted off, right? That sense of accomplishment, right? Because it's debt is something that is hindering. It affects people. It kind of drives your life in a sense in regards to what you can do. So we've gotten more freedom, less burden, able to, like I said, save more, put money aside, or able to do things without necessarily having to worry about, okay, well, what's my bank account looking like now? Yeah. If I go out to eat here, if I have one drink or too many or something like that, is the account going to be overdrafted or something silly like that, right? So it removed a lot of that worry. So
yeah, it's incredible that you because I think one thing that we kind of ran past very quickly, the 3-year time plan, you paid off the credit cards, you paid off the car loan, even student loan, but you also got married in that process. And I mean, I'm not unabashed to say, like, my marriage cost 20 something, 28, close to 30 grand. Average is 30. And we paid in cash too. But I mean, when you're getting out of debt, like, the thing that spurred me about what me and my wife could do was when I saw how much we paid for a wedding in 1 year. And I'm like, well, if we didn't pay for a wedding, we should have that, in my opinion, in the first year. I'm like, that should be the amount in the account. But the thing about life is, while that was my goal, life changes. So I had a new job, raises happened, you paid off some stuff. That amount got doubled or whatever, just in the first year. But it was a grind, don't get me wrong. but it's one of those things of you really start to think and change. And I know one thing that you both hit on separate times was, Evan, you had to change your mindset a little bit, but Lisa, you had to change your mindset with. So how do you, because this whole money thing, how we engage with our finances is a total shift from what our family, what we're born into that we don't even know yet. So how did you guys really start to first communicate and then second acknowledge that, hey, I need to relent and kind of change a little bit to do it? And then again, you married, so I know like this isn't oh yeah, dear, we gonna do this plan is Monday and Tuesday we going. No, it don't quite work like that. It's like I had to petition my wife to get on the same page on some stuff, and I love it, but because she's independent, because she has strong ideas and valuable ideas, but it's just one of those things of, I mean, if she brings something to me, I'm not finna just jump at it like, especially with money, because I'm like, hold on, why am I spending this? What am I getting out of it? So how did you guys kind of acknowledge and see those changes and even begin that conversation?
I think seeing it on paper. So Evan's kind of into numbers, and he would draw up all these spreadsheets and show me all these numbers. And honestly, for a while, I just ignored it. Like, he'll show me all this stuff and try and convince me, and I'm like, nah, player, nah, we ain't doing that. Like, I like my own money. I like this 50-50. It seemed to be working. Like, I won't say it was broken, but like, it was fine. You know, like we wasn't saving or paying off debt, but we was making it by.
Right.
And so it was kind of like, well, is making it by just enough? Is that really enough? Like, can we be doing more? And Evan has all these big goals and things that he wants to achieve and accomplish. And, you know, seeing the numbers and kind of listening to his passion for all these things, I was like, you know what? I'll give it a chance. And like initially I was kind of like, you know, we're gonna see how this works for maybe like 3 months. And if it don't work, we're just gonna go back the way things was. And that's it. I was still kind of skeptical the whole time. And so
you gave me a trial period.
You know,
you got
so
90 days to prove it.
I committed to it, and you know, I started seeing the debt being paid off, and you know, the savings account building up, and I was like, you know what? I'll give you your props. This is it. This is working for us, and I'm taking my trips, and we going on our trips together. And I'm like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, like I think it's really interesting because that's honestly the same thing I did to my wife. I showed her the math. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not saying this stuff is exact, but Evan, you sound a little bit like myself. Like when I look at the year and I look at how much money and what we're trying to do, if I can't hit something, I'm now looking at, well, how can I hit it? What can I do? My wife is like, look, I ain't gonna, like the numbers say we can't hit it, we can't hit it. But the fact is, that's the fun part about the budgeting piece, is because you start off in January and you have these projections, but no month is the same. You don't know what blessings are going to come. You don't know how things are going to shift and what opportunities are going to open up that give you momentum. But the fact that you have a plan and you have a direction you're going, that's what gets you on the path. And then throughout the year, you end up oftentimes with the plan further along in paying off debt or further along in saving, even though you traveled, even though you had birthday parties and gifts and weddings and stuff you did, but you did all that stuff, but you still made huge financial progress further than what you projected. But that math piece, not even you got to have all the equations in Excel, but just a simple paper like, hey, this is how much we have. If we paid this off, this gives us an extra $500 a month. So I'm not saying I'm giving you the extra 500, but I'm saying who couldn't use the extra $500 a month? You know what I mean? And especially like you said, you knock off some of the little ones, you'd be like, well, shoot, if I knock this off in a couple months, I get, you know what I'm saying, I get the return right then. So that math piece is just critical. But just the fact of just writing it down. So you said you guys started when you were dating, so there are a lot of single people and things of that nature. How did that conversation come up and kind of come into fruition when you were dating about money, or when did it come up for you guys in the dating process?
Yeah, so I'll answer that question. I wanted to throw in my piece in regards to the come from place how we got there. So the conversation essentially just started because once we had been dating, and then when we finally decided to move in together, right? So I think we're, like I said, we're both very independent people, right? So I think it was kind of like okay, well, you moving in with me, I need to know what your money situation like, and vice versa. Because you ain't trying to move in, and then it's like I got a roommate, and I'm paying all the bills, or vice versa.
You
so,
eat here too.
yeah, right. So and ultimately, I think like the strongest motivator, humble beginnings. We didn't come from money, right? There's a lot of people who haven't, right? So my motivation was kind of like trying to break the cycle of bad money management, not knowing not knowing when your next thing was coming if you're only living paycheck to paycheck, right? And to the point about the Lisa teased about the spreadsheets, and you made a good point. It's not complicated equations. It's just pluses and minuses, right? Someone once told me it's simple. You just increase the pluses and reduce the minuses, right? So I mean that's what it is. So trying to and found a motivating factor. So at least for Lisa's into travel. So my original plan was trying to tell her how we can scale back on travel, right? Like, well, maybe we take or 2 trips, and she was like, "Nah." And to her point, she was it was fine. The original thing with the 50-50 split, it was working. But when I asked the question, I was like, well, how much money do you bring in per month, and how much money do I bring in per month? And why is it that we only in the month with only that much money when we could be doing we should be having much more, right? Like we work too hard to have to give all this money out, and then we're left with like crumbs,
pennies,
and pennies to try and work with. So slowly painting in that picture, and then then showing how it could work for trips, right? But it went from more to just trips to, like I said, oh well, now we can do down payments on this property. We can renovate this property and increase the rents if we wanted to, and things like that. But like I said, your actual question, when we just moved in, I think we both were just
Jesus moment.
Yeah.
When the rent goes in, like, all right, here's the lease, but let me see your budget too while we got these papers out. No, that's phenomenal. It's almost, honestly speaking with you guys, it's almost like I'm looking at myself and my wife, because if it was up to me, I work 80, 100 hours a week, go for financial goals, and I'll be out of there. But my wife, she really knows how to enjoy life. She's about travel. She's about family. She's about experiences. And that's one of the things that we've learned early in the relationship of what do each person value. So I work so hard that I lean on her strength of experiences and all that to keep me in check. Like, hey, man, you need to take a break, because you going to make this extra $200 ain't really finna make a massive increase to your net worth. Like it'll be okay. You know what I mean? So not getting so wrapped up. But then you also you guys talked a little bit about, hey, you come from just households that maybe they didn't manage their money well. How did you guys identify, hey, I know for me, I've never, until now, I buy Doritos now, but that's my luxury. I think Doritos is a luxury. I used to have nacho cheese, and I wouldn't even get those. I got corn chips, and I had to sprinkle some stuff on it and kind of make up my nacho cheese. But my thing is, I'm like, I know what it's like not to have money, and I actually know what it's like to have money. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to not have money. I know what that life's like. I ain't trying to go there. So how did you identify the things that culturally and in your personal families really kind of stood in your way from progress? Because you guys definitely talked about you bend on each other a lot. You know what I mean? And that comes with the time. But what are the things that you like, yeah, my family does this. These are just challenges that we all have.
I mean, I think I learned from my family how not to handle my finances. And so that taught me, like, I I wasn't taught about finances growing up or things like that, but I learned how not to manage it just by seeing how my family struggled growing up. And so I grew up on the south side of Chicago in poverty. You know, my family didn't have much. My dad worked 2 jobs trying to care for, 3 kids in our family. And so, things were tough. We were always in debt. We were paying the rent late every month. And, there were times when the water and the electricity was cut off, and it was a struggle. And that really taught me that, like, I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to experience the things that I've experienced. And, an interesting thing with my family, knowing that we struggled, I feel like there was still times where, like, you have all these wants, and my family was putting these wants above the needs. And I think that's one thing that me and Evan have been really good about, is that we've been very modest. And, 10 years ago, right out of school, when we first got our first jobs, I think I was making like $40,000 a year, and Evan was probably making like $35,000 a year at that time. And we've been very modest. Like, if you knew me 10 years ago and you know me today, you probably wouldn't think that much has changed with me from 10 years ago. And so, I've been very modest in how, I've been living, even as I've like progressed through my career. I didn't go out every time I got a promotion and bought the new Mercedes or got the big house or done all those things. And so we've just been trying to be very modest with our spending. Now, don't get it wrong, we have those things that we like to splurge on, and for Evan, it's shoes. For me, it's trips. And we like to do those things. And so we make it possible for those things to happen, by doing this, and, by making it a priority for us to save and pay down debt.
Yeah, it's definitely true that you can see that how, just in speaking with you guys, how your values and your value system, what it aligns to allow you to decide which way you're going to go. Because ultimately, your money, regardless of how anybody wants to look at it, is what you spend money on is what you prioritize. If you spend a lot of money on eating out, you love it. You love food. Like, it's no doubt about it. But you have to learn how the discipline, in fact, is with adults. Like, hey, what can I do? Is buying food every day really going to get me to where I'm trying to go? Because while you're buying food to likely cope with something else. But, you're buying food to go back to a job that you hate. And then the job that you hate is paying you not the money that you would like to make. And to your point, Evan, then the money that you are making, you're spending 50, 60% of that money on stuff that either the car breaks down, the clothes is old now, that's not really going to return you in value. So like you said, you're paying a lot of stuff to expenses. Like, you have to add a lot of things into your life that give you back money before you start just throwing money out in the sunk cost. And to your point about the whole generation piece, because we are the first ones, we take the hit. So that means we're not going to do everything all the time. Now, you walk this plan down 10, 15 years, you guys amass a couple $1 million net worth. You got kids. Your kids can come out the gate and be like, all right, I want a Beamer now. I graduated school. I want this stuff now. Not always the best thing, but it's just the point. Like, they can do that without having a financial ruin. But the fact is, just like running a business, when you start up a business, you have to focus up on the business to get it going. And then as the business pays you back, then you go back and you're like, okay, there's always going to be a new car. There's always going to be new shoes. I mean, I'm kind of with you a little bit, Lisa. Like, trips, I don't think trips will ever get old. Like, I don't think you could travel to every place on the country, on the globe in your lifetime. Like, I can hit a good many other spots, but probably hit every continent, but I ain't going to hit every country. Like, what have you seen, because you guys are millennials too, what have you seen in our age group that really kind of stands in our way for progress?
I mean, you hit on a point when you spoke about generational. So I think it's a couple of things. One, especially as, Black families, not a lot, but most, they don't talk about finances in the household, right? So a lot of times, you know of the struggle growing up, but you don't know like the inner workings of the struggle and what caused the struggle, right? Not, you just know there wasn't enough money. You just knew the lights was off. You just knew y'all was eating, spam and stuff, right? But you don't know like what led to it, right? So because that's happened, people aren't as open to talk about money and financial strategies, right? This whole crab in the barrel mentality is like, well, I don't want to talk to you about what I got going on or strategies is working, because then for some reason I feel like what's going to happen with you is going to affect me, when that's not the case at all, right? There's enough for everyone, right, to grow. I think also what gets in people's way is a lot of times, not everyone, but it's a material aspect. People want to try and look good to impress people and look a certain way. There's a saying, I partially believe it. People rather look rich than be rich, right? Having all this expensive designer stuff, right, and living above their means for no reason other than to put on a show for people. And then I think it's a combination. Other thing I think it's a combination of not knowing what to do, but then also not willing to put forth the effort to learn what to do. I mean, the thing about this generation, this is a great information age. There's too much information at this point, but it's like you can look and Google and research and YouTube, an audiobook, all kind of different things you can do as it relates to managing financing, debt payoff strategies, and find something that works for you or something that you can do in your current situation. So
I feel like it's a generational curse too. Like I feel like we are the generation of debt. Back with our parents, a lot of them, none of my parents went to college, so they didn't have that debt that I have from getting an undergraduate and getting a grad degree, because they didn't go to college. So they didn't come out, with their first job having $120,000 in debt, and so it's like, most young people now, it's like college may not be an option. It's like most people go to college. And so a lot of young people have this huge burden of student loans weighing on them. And it's challenging. And a lot of people, just kind of have this mentality that, oh, I'm just going to have that debt forever. I'm going to die and I'm not going to pay that debt off. Right. And it's like, if we have that mentality, then that's exactly what's going to happen. Right. But if you approach it and you try and knock it down, you can get that burden lifted off of you, and, you can feel free and, financially stable. And so I think that's a big thing. And then having younger brothers and sisters who are like Gen Z, it's like money just burns a hole in their pockets, they get some money and the first thing they do is they go buy cars. And both my brother and sister just did that. They both just inherited money from my dad passing away a couple months ago. And both of them, the first thing they went out and bought were cars, both of them. And so it's just like, it's hard. And another thing is, we don't leave money for our children either. No. And so that's a challenge. It's all about that generational wealth. And, we don't do a very good job at doing that. And so that's been one of the things that we've, been talking about is, when we get ready to have kids, we want to make sure that, we leave them, so that, they're well off. They have that generational wealth. They start, with something. They don't have to be like us and come from nothing.
No, that's so really true. Because I mean, like you said, with the student loan, it's hard for somebody to, and I said this before, it's hard for somebody to really understand how to pay off $100,000 worth of student loans, and you never paid off a car. Like when I, before in college, I got cars. I mean, I've had several cars, but one of the things that I knew growing up was I'm like, if I ever want a nice car, I'm gonna have to get a car note. And then of course, if you go there, you'll always have a car note. People flip cars every 2 years or whatever. I'm like, always? Like once I paid off, I've never had a car note until I had one. And then when I had one, I got another one, and that was bad, but I paid that one off early. But now it's more like, you don't have to have no car note. You know what I mean? It's a different, to Evan's point, it's a different way of doing things. You're going to manage your money a lot different. But that was one of the constant things that in this conversation of money, like I'm not ever going to tell somebody, no, you don't need a new car or anything like that. No, we don't need those things. If you like it, cool. But how you're doing it is what gets you to the point of, hey, I'm going to get stuck. And then when you talk about, that student loan, well, again, a lot of us are first generation college students. So if we're the first ones to go to college, we didn't, and our parents never graduated. Like my mom never went to school, graduated. There was no baseline for me to understand that, hey, don't be going over there signing up for student loans and all that type of stuff. But my wife, her parents, they went to school and they were, hey, walk you down, get these scholarships, all that. She didn't have student loans. She had scholarships for a master's and everything. So it was one of those things of just understanding that piece can save a generation for many. College choice, what's the reality of things? Oh, if I go to Harvard or if I go to Princeton or if I go to one of these big name schools and I get a business degree, I'm going to get hired. No, I can go. And honestly, I could have went to Harris Stowe, paid 10, 15 grand, and I still would be doing the same thing as well off. As you got to understand what's going to be, how is it going to translate in the marketplace? And some of these things, it's our bumps and bruises that we take, but your kids won't take those bumps and bruises. So good. So what are things that, okay, so you paid off this debt, so you had this strategy. What are things that you're seeing now? Because now you're kind of starting to reformulate, or actually it sounds more like you guys have your dreams and your dreams are evolving. What are things that you're working towards now? Now that you kind of got this plan underway?
So actually right now, one of the things we're looking at is buying another rental property. So that's something. So interest
are you
rates
buying it whole, or are you buying flip and rehab flip?
Buying whole.
Okay.
Buying whole. We'll probably look to buy either Class A or Class B property that's kind of moving ready. So that way we don't have to necessarily put too much money into it to have it ready to be rented.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're looking to do right now. And so interest rates are low. We just actually refinanced and was able to save some money doing that. And so that's one of the big things that's on the radar right now, is for us to kind of continue doing that so we can have that cash flow coming in. And we look at, Evan's kind of been looking into and researching more about rehabbing and some other different types of ways in real estate. But to date, we've really been kind of buying those move-in ready properties so that they already are generating that income that we need. And so those have been the types of properties that we've been looking at. And we're rehabbing right now one of the properties. And so one of the properties that we bought, one side had been recently rehabbed. And so now we're working on completely rehabbing the other side. And so that's a project that we have going on right now too. And COVID is a great time now to do it because the prices are at an all-time low. Like we started getting quotes for some of this stuff like probably a year and a half ago. And looking at the quotes now due to COVID, it's crazy like how much more affordable it is to do this right now. So
that you guys are just kind of putting that image to the point of, if you manage your finances well, when the hiccup happens, because it's not an if in America, it always is a hiccup. It's something happens in the market all the time. It happens so often. But if you're not prepared, how will you be able to strike? Because there's always going to be, now this is probably a little harsh, but there always are winners and losers when we hit that recession period. There are people who prepare, and so they get to buy more property, buy more stocks, get things that, saying at a lower value. And then there are some who get kind of beat a little bit by the recession because you didn't quite prepare your whole, your own financial situation up. But I mean, honestly, that's phenomenal, that you were able to do that. So when you talk about you guys' structure, I know you guys have the sinking fund. So as a couple, do you guys have different, I think you said you had different savings accounts, you have different checking accounts as well, and then maybe a joint?
Yeah, so we both have our own kind of individual checking accounts, probably multiple. We have a kind of a joint savings account. We have like a joint bill pay account. And then we have a property account as well that we kind of use to manage expenses and things like that for our property. And so I would say for the most part, like I know a lot of couples feel very strongly about, keeping finances separately. And, for the most part, we still have that freedom and flexibility, but we're on one accord when it comes to our financial goals.
Right.
And so I think it's that difference in mindset and everything just being separately, and you've been on your own accord and you've been on one accord financially. And I think that's what's kind of helped us.
And to your point, I know my wife and I, same thing. When you come in and you've been working for a while, you have your own stuff. So you don't just go. I add her a name to stuff and she's beneficiary, but she's not co-owner on everything. But it's the point of she knows what's there. And then when you're talking about you're working from the same sheet of music that you're building this plan, well, if you walk down a year, you'd be like, hey, you know what I mean? Oh, you did more, or saying you kept on pace. Well, that increases the trust, in my opinion, trust and transparency in the relationship, because while you're both working and grinding, you don't have to have that naysayer kind of in the mind of, is this person really going to keep track or are they going to stay on pace, or are they out here just being frivolous? So good. So now that you're married, what would be things that you say, hey, if you're going to talk about finances, these are things you need to make sure you have clarity on?
Take that one.
I would get clarity kind of on, hey, what kind of debt, what's your credit situation like, good credit, bad credit. So that way you all both can work to figure out how you can help improve credit, right? Because, one of the worst things that can happen is you both trying to go in and do a property or get a car or something of that nature, and y'all got a ridiculous interest rate because one person's credit is bad, or you are not going to qualify because the person's credit is bad because y'all didn't have that conversation, right? So understanding of each other's credit, understanding of each other's financial situation in regards to what kind of debts they have, understanding maybe of for us, payment schedule was good because we get paid on different cycles. So when we're looking to do something, we can plan ahead of time of, okay, well, are we going to do this investment, or are we going to move money for this or that? It's like, well, knowing when her money's coming in and when my money's coming in and how we can, allocate to those accounts is good. So I'm trying to think of anything else.
Come up with some joint goals.
Yeah,
I think coming up with some joint goals as well. And they can be simple. Like very early for us, we wanted to travel more. That was a very simple goal. We created that travel savings account to save money and put in there to make it happen. We knew we wanted to get in real estate. Evan kind of, from his career and his background, he kind of took an interest in it. And so that was another goal. And so, we set out to make that happen. And so set some joint couples goals. It's okay to, be independent. I know a lot of people these days, a lot of couples are very strongly independent, but it's okay to have some joint goals that you're working towards as a couple.
Yeah. And I want to caveat, like, we have this joint thing that we do, but we're still very independent. Like, she has her own banking relationship and her own accounts. I have my own bank relationship and accounts. It's just that we're on one accord when it comes to, okay, well, what are we trying to do together? And, are you, is your situation good? Being able to contribute. Is my situation good to be able to contribute? If not, that's when we kind of have that conversation to figure out, well, what's going on? Or you're looking to do this, or you have this obligation coming up, right? Okay, so that's going to affect how the contribution, percentages change. It's like, so it really does help build better communication, teamwork, and compromise, as a couple or as partners, depending on how you all are coming together to do this. So, I don't think we're just all, joint account everything. I have my own stuff, she has her own stuff, and then we have shares.
Yeah, and think about ways. I would encourage couples to, especially ones kind of new in their relationships, think about ways to free up money. And so, not necessarily saying you're just going to cut out everything in your lifestyle and be so frugal, but think about small ways that you can free up money. One thing that I've done is I used to just off the bat give 10% to my 401k. Mm-hmm. Not anymore. I give the match, and I use the rest towards other opportunities and things like that. And so that was a way right there to free up money for other, investment opportunities and things like that. So that was something kind of minor. Or if there are expenses that you can cut out that you don't need, you think about just small things like coming into a relationship. We both had our own Amazon Prime accounts, small amount. But why do we both need our own separate Amazon Prime accounts? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why don't we just have one? You can link a couple accounts to Amazon Prime, and now you got one account, and you just cut that small expense out. So small things like that some couples don't really think about can help to free up some money.
Yeah, I know one of the biggest things that people don't truly understand. I mean, I know you guys can understand it now, but I personally understand why couples end up getting divorced over money. I couldn't understand it before. I just knew I didn't want any parts of it. But after learning so much and dealing with so many different people and seeing how couple work, because one person, there's a lot usually going on in your situation. But as a guy, we usually typically go a simple route. Like, we'll have our place. We'll maybe pay for some internet. We'll have, like you said, you like shoes. All right, I know I'm going to buy some shoes a couple times out the year, and that's pretty much it. But when you come in, especially with your young lady, say, I want to make sure my wife's happy. I want to make sure I'm creating a lifestyle, and we decide what the lifestyle is. Well, there are a lot more details that come into that allow you to be like, I got to take a look at this thing. What can I do what can I do to make this the most simplest plan so that she has the margin to go do what she want to do without, oh man, my husband going to be looking at me strange or whatever. And a lot of stuff, I tell my wife all the time, I could care less what you're doing at this point. You know what I mean? I don't even pay attention to it because there are other things. One thing that I did want to get you guys' perspective of as we begin to wrap up is now culturally, from an African-American seat, we do have an idea of, hey, we're the successful ones. We graduated from school. You go get the fancy job, married or whatever. Oftentimes that gives the impression, just understood, not actually stated out loud, but understood that, hey, you need to kick back to your family. You need to kick back to your brother and sister and all that. Like you said, they may be off doing bad decisions. How do you guys manage that hump and put clear? I know for me how I set my boundaries, but I'm curious to get you guys' take on how you guys kind of attack that, approach that scenario that we all kind of face.
Can you talk about yours first?
Yeah. So honestly, for me, I had to get comfortable with just saying no, right? Because at the end of the day, like you said, when people know you got money, they have no problem asking you for money, right? So I had to, it was hard at first, I still kick back to the family, if it's, a dire situation, or if it's, I know what's going on and I know I'll get that money back. But, I look at it from a perspective of when it comes to kicking money to family, it's like, I don't consider it a loan. I consider it a gift, meaning, because a lot of, relationships end over money, and that's just not, platonic relationships. That can be relationships with family too. So, you had, look at it and say, if you give this much to this person, don't expect to get it back, right? So that way there is no hitting that person up every, couple days, like where the money at. And the reason why I had to get comfortable with saying no was because, at the end of the day, looking out for the family is great, but it's like, if I'm in a situation, then who's going to be able to help me? So it's, so I had to look at it from that standpoint and say, okay, well, when I do give money, I'm like asking questions. Well, what is this for? What, why are you in
gotta
this?
qualify.
Right. Yeah, why?
And I gotta believe you too.
Right. Because like, are you in this thing because of a bad situation? Because all that means is you're just going to do that again. You're just going to think I'm going to continue to feed that and feed that and feed that. And that's a detriment to me, and then it's also a detriment to that person also, because they're not learning to break those bad habits. So I kick back when I can. Like we talked about the thing of trying to build up stuff for generational wealth, but I'm also trying to look into strategies of things, and I'm talking to family members in regards to investment things that we can also just do as a family. So that way, we're able to help and learn and grow together and stuff. So not just a kickback of me just giving you money, but a kickback of knowledge so we can learn and grow together and do this stuff that will generate income and help you pay off debts and stuff too.
So the other thing I wanted to get you guys' perspective of is, where do you guys put your focus? Because you said over this time you guys have had a couple of different promotions. And listen, I've seen your journey, so I know you really kind of try to maximize your career, and you really elevate your skills to put you up constantly. So where is that in your position of? I mean, I'm a big fan of decreasing expenses, but I'm really more on how do we really increase and maximize our income? You know what I mean? And yeah, that's through investment, but just, you know what I mean? If you paid $100,000 for a degree or $50,000 for a degree, whatever, if you got a master's, how do you maximize this thing with your goals? Because you want to get the return off the investment. Where does that play a part in you guys' plan?
I think it's continuing to look for new opportunities to get different sources of income. And so one of those that I've identified has been the whole rental property thing. And Evan's kind of looking into some other opportunities. I'm in the progress right now of launching a nonprofit organization. And so it's just kind of identifying other sources of income. I mean, we both work in corporate America, and that has its challenges, and it's kind of just looking for those other opportunities. But even when it comes to corporate America and being in there, I've kind of always had this mindset of never get too comfortable.
Exactly.
And I'm always continually pushing, and people know me. I'll leave in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I love my job and my company now, but it's been my longest place of employment. And never get too comfortable. Never be afraid to ask for more. I've asked for promotions, and the only thing they can do is say no.
Exactly.
And so I think those have kind of been guiding things, and I work my butt off. And so I've been grateful enough to have been supplemented with bonus income because of my hard work. And so that's another income source that hasn't been, it's not guaranteed, but I've gotten 3 or 4 bonuses in the past year because of, hard work that I put in. They're not bonuses that everybody in the company get. They're like special bonuses I've gotten for hard work. Yeah. And so that's another source of income. So looking for those opportunities.
So so far you definitely say being on the same page, having a plan, discussing the plan, maybe getting the numbers together, having goals to direct. And if anybody who's followed me, I always say before you go start attacking anything, you need at least 3 goals. So that's like my baseline. Communicating effectively, set up the account. It's okay to be separate. Looking for different avenues to kind of bring in that income, and also being aware of, not getting attracted and putting limits to the stuff. Like, what is your real life? And then as a couple, not falling into the 2 income trap. You guys definitely have it dialed in baseline. This is what we're making. And then also looking for ways, again, to constantly grow your income. I mean, to be honest, like we've had so much happen in this COVID scenario. Like, I definitely knew it was going to be a recession. I didn't think it was going to be to this extent. But one thing that I've always kind of shared with people, whether I'm coaching them or just having conversation, is, to your point, Lisa, I'm like, any business is not a person. It's not at all a person. It's like talking to a table. It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't have considerations. It has nothing. All the table and all the business wants to do is survive. So if survival means we got to cut your position, or survival means we can't give you a promotion, it's not personal, it's business. And so, Evan, you kind of alluded to this earlier. I have to look out for me. You know what I mean? My goals, the business doesn't care about my goals unless it's, to your point, your nonprofit or your investment thing, then it cares about your goals. But if it's somebody else's business, it cares about their goals and what they're trying to do. You have to be the one about your goals and what you're going to grow. But given all that list of stuff I kind of ran down, what would you offer as encouragement to people about their finances, whether they're single, married, just married, been married for a long time, and their spouse is kind of stubborn? What would you encourage them to do as far as really to start to get going?
I would say a sense of openness. Have an open mind. Be open to the conversation and to the discussion, and different ways of doing things. I said this earlier, but just because it's been working this way for all this time doesn't mean there's not something better.
Right.
And, be open to that, and, just kind of educate yourself on, different types of things that you can do. Maybe rental property isn't for everyone, but there are other things out there you can educate yourself on that may be able to generate, returns for you. You want to add anything?
Yeah, I guess I would just say, make sure you understand your financial picture, right? So when I say that, I mean, if you, make sure you understand your expenses, make sure you understand your debt. What are the interest rates? What are the, what are the terms? And to Lisa's point about negotiating, don't just accept what, people tell you when it comes to a debt. When it comes to a bill, you can make a phone call. You can ask and, see if you can have, monthly bills decreased, right? Or, see if you could, if possible, refinance certain debts you have if there's interest rates for a lower interest rate, right? Also, don't just do the minimum payment if you have the ability. I'm not saying clear it out if you got savings, don't do that. But I'm saying if you can afford to pay an extra $20, $30, or $50 more, or however much you can, that goes a long way too with minimizing that. Like I said, openness and being willing to understand that this is not just a budget or a diet. This is like a lifestyle, right? So this is something that will continue for as long as you are alive and bringing in money and having to pay stuff, right? So kind of just learn to get comfortable with the journey, be willing to grow, learn, and adapt, and be willing to ask for assistance or research methods. Don't just not know and just think that's okay, right? Because there's plenty of ways you can equip yourself with knowledge and resources and tools to try and better your situation or work towards it.
And start small. Everybody's financial situation is different, and what worked for us may not work for everybody else. But start small. For us, it was a travel account. That was kind of the first thing. That was a very, very small goal. And it worked. So, start with something small and then work your way up to something larger. So
good. And before I wrap up, what do you guys use any particular apps or anything that you try besides Evan's Excel sheet?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of traditional. So I used to work for Edward Jones, and so they've been they were our advisor for the longest until Evan moved over to Bank of America, and we were kind of forced to move our accounts there. But yeah, not nothing in particular that we really use.
I use Mint sometimes, right?
You use Mint,
but it delinks the account so often where I just, like I said, I mean, what works for me, it's not like I do like a $0, like I don't track every single dollar. I'm able to track to here's my income, and here's what's going out for expenses, here's what's going out for debt, and then for people who do different savings methods, there's a there's a 50, 20, 30 or
Okay.
40, whatever, right? So I'll move my money for my own savings and investments, and then this money is what I'm going to use to spend into my next check, right? So I'm not necessarily tracking every single dollar either.
Okay. So it's a little bit more of a bucket strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. So good. Well, thanks, guys. You guys have been on here for an hour with me. I know it was a lot, but I so appreciate you guys being willing to share. Again, if it's your first time in the group, feel free. This video will be here, but I'll definitely load it to the YouTube page if you haven't already. If you're here watching it on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. That's what we're here for. Give you a little bit more information, but I mean, ultimately, it's no matter what we give, no matter what I say about debt or saving or investing, whatever the case may be, just realize you can do it. If you can get that part, all the rest will take care of itself. Until next time, you guys, take care.